Ready or not, here it might be. Turns out they're going for immigration reform. Yeah, the long-awaited yet largely unexpected fight to reform federal immigration policy is, as of today, unexpectedly upon us. The tick-tock of what led up to us learning this today is a little bit head-spinning. Last night, President Obama told reporters on Air Force One that Congress probably lacked the, quote, appetite to take on immigration this election year. That comment from the president led to the broadly understood truth expressed by this completely conclusive Associated Press headline. It's not going to happen. Immigration reform off the agenda, so says Obama. Well, this morning, House Minority Leader John Boehner one-upped the AP, saying, quote, there is not a chance that immigration is going to move through the Congress. Not a chance. Not long after Mr. Boehner took up residence on that particular limb, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid got all oh yeah on the subject. Senator Reid called Mr. Boehner's bluff and introduced what he called a framework for overhauling U.S. immigration laws. It spells out tougher border security, high-tech ID cards for immigrant workers, a new process to admit temporary workers, tough sanctions on employers who hire people who are in this country illegally, and eventually a path to citizenship for those who are currently here illegally. Neat. It's neat that he introduced it. That's what they want to do. We got a framework. But didn't the president just last night say on his giant aeroplane full of reporters that immigration was off the agenda? Yeah, he did say that. At least that's what everybody thought he said. Tonight, it all changed. The president put out a statement that says, quote, the proposal outlined today in the Senate is a very important step in the process of fixing our nation's broken immigration system. What has become increasingly clear is that we can no longer wait to fix our broken immigration system, which Democrats and Republicans alike agreed doesn't work. The president's saying we can no longer wait. Well, okay then. As unlikely as it looked at sunrise today, the Democratic leadership is right now on pretty much the same page about immigration. On the other side of the aisle, however, Republicans are not only not on the same page, they're not even in the same book. As the country prepares now for a new, huge political fight over a critical issue, the Republican Party has a giant crack running right down the middle of it. Arizona's Papers, Please law was signed last week, and while that can be seen as an impressive accomplishment for the right wing of the Republican Party in that state, flexing its legislative muscles, it also really puts the rest of the Republican Party in the country on the spot. Suddenly, everyone in the party is expected to go on record now and say what they think about Arizona's way out there anti-immigration law. And while the people on the far right of the party who like that law may be excited about that, it is not a recipe for party unity. Take, for example, Tea Party favorite Marco Rubio, the guy who just forced Charlie Crist out of the Republican Party for being too moderate. Marco Rubio released a statement about the Arizona Papers, Please law, which said in part, quote, I think aspects of the law, especially that dealing with reasonable suspicion, are going to put our law enforcement officers in an incredibly difficult position. It could also unreasonably single out people who are here legally, including many American citizens. So the single most recognizable candidate associated with the Tea Party movement nationwide has just come out against the Papers, Please law. Will all of his supporters in the Tea Party movement also be speaking out against this new law now? You know, all those people protesting too much government intrusion into our lives? If you're really for small government, you'd think they'd be lining up alongside the Tea Party hero, Marco Rubio, to denounce any law that compels people to stop people on the street and demand to see their papers, a law that presumes you're illegal unless you can prove otherwise. Talk about big government, hoo boy. So far, though, not a peep from the Tea Partiers, which is how you get caught out for not actually believing what you say you believe. When you are confronted with a big national story that directly speaks to the thing you say you're concerned about, too much government, and you say nothing, it starts to look like maybe your movement is less about your stated principles and more about something else. But the Arizona Papers, Please law is doing more than showcasing the shaky principles of the much-vaunted Tea Party movement. It is starting up a real ideological civil war among leaders and elected officials in the Republican Party. As more high-profile Republicans are called on to comment on the Arizona law, it just keeps becoming more and more clear how much disagreement there is about it in the Republican Party. Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush said, quote, "I think it creates unintended consequences. It places a significant burden on local law enforcement, and you have civil liberties issues that are significant as well." Even after trying to come up with an argument for how it wouldn't necessarily have to be implemented in a totally racist way, Karl Rove admitted, quote, "I think there's going to be some constitutional problems with the bill. I wished they hadn't passed it in a way." Republican Senator Lindsey Graham also seeing a constitutional problem, he says, with the Papers, Please law.
What happened in Arizona is that good people are so afraid